Have you ever wondered why you feel the way you do? Why are some people always seeking constant validation for their existence, while others look pretty independent and even emotionally unavailable? Well, we can all blame our parents for that. Just kidding. How we respond emotionally in our relationships and how we relate and interact with others directly reflects our caregiver's parenting style. More specifically, the type of attachment we develop according to our early education. In this two-part video, we are sharing everything you need to know about the different types of attachment styles. Why are they important? How are they formed? And what role they play in our emotional health? Do you know what your attachment style is? Let's find that out, shall we? If there's one thing that we can all agree on, from the spiritual community to the scientific community, is that humans have an innate need for connection. In fact, we are profoundly shaped by our social environment, and we suffer greatly when our bonds are threatened or severed. This interdependence is the reason why we develop emotional attachments in the first place. Our attachment style is an evolutionary strategy that helps us survive and thrive in the environment we were born into. Keep in mind that as infants, we rely on the bond we develop with our caregivers for our survival. This emotional bond or attachment is determined by the quality of our caregiving and runs on the spectrum from secure to insecure. The more responsive and attuned to our needs our caregivers are, the more secure our attachment will be. If our caregivers withdraw, disregard, or neglect our needs during our formative years, we're more likely to develop a dysfunctional bond. The type of emotional neglect we experience during our childhood determines the foundation of our insecure attachment style. This emotional neglect refers to our caregivers' inability to appropriately respond to our emotional needs at critical stages in our development, primarily out of ignorance or as a result of an extreme form of narcissism. There are three forms of insecure attachment that can form due to emotional neglect. These are a reflection of our caregivers' levels of avoidance and anxiety in their relationship with us. Caregivers who respond to but often disregard our emotional needs may foster an anxious attachment style or anxious preoccupied. Caregivers who get stressed out and withdraw when we are upset are more prone to strengthen an avoidant attachment style or dismissive avoidant. Caregivers who neglect or abuse us in any way often promote a disorganized style of attachment, also known as fearful avoidant. These emotional bonds early in our lives lay the foundation for the quality of our emotional health in future relationships. Because it is during our formative years that we learn, or not, to recognize and manage our emotions and process our feelings. The quality of our bonds create an attachment template for our emotional connections that guides our social interactions and informs us whether and how we are valued by other people. This means that our self-esteem, ability to regulate our emotions, and the quality of our relationships are all affected by the quality of these early emotional bonds. Our attachment styles provides us with the language to describe how we show up in our relationships. Knowing about our particular style challenges us to reflect on our past relationships and gives us insight into why we act the way we do in our current ones. The more secure we are within ourselves and in our relationships with other people, the more we can regulate and understand our emotions, making it easier to navigate relationships and developing trusting and lasting connections. This is what happens when you have developed a secure attachment style. Secure people are open to creating strong emotional connections with others and knowing how to give and receive love. They're not afraid to be vulnerable, which means they can be intimate with other people while communicating their needs and reinforcing their boundaries. They can also rely on other people without becoming entirely dependent on them. If you identify with this type of attachment, then this means you have done some serious healing work on yourself, or your caregivers indirectly taught you by their way of being with you that your emotions and needs will be recognized, that you will be supported and loved, and that people in general can be trusted. Secure people often had caregivers who responded consistently to their needs during their infancy years. This consistent response to your cries and needs to be held and fed helped you to develop trust that your needs were important and would be met. Additionally, your caregivers offered you a safe base from which you could explore life. You could familiarize yourself with your environment while also knowing that you had a secure place to return to if you got hurt, scared, or needed reassurance. This ability to explore your outer world freely allowed you to be more in tune with your inner world, making it easier for you to learn to interpret, identify, and manage your emotions and feelings. As a result, in adulthood, you find it less challenging to understand the emotions of others, which makes you a better listener and helps you to build strong relationships. Your secure bond grants you the emotional vocabulary to communicate your needs, thoughts, and emotions more easily when you feel uncomfortable or upset. Your resilience comes from your unquestionable sense of your own worth, which strengthens resilience, confidence, and optimism when unpleasant emotions or situations arise. This self-governance brings a greater sense of self-reliance, which means you feel you can be as independent, as willing to ask for help when you need to. In relationships, you display a stable level of intimacy and can give and accept love in return. You don't fear being abandoned every time your partner needs space. Since you had experiences that reinforce the idea that you live in a generally safe world, this belief has allowed you to flourish and develop abilities such as following through on goals, creating social and support networks, and developing self-confidence. Now, if this is not the case for you, you were most likely raised by caregivers who were not emotionally healthy. After all, our parents also formed their attachment style based on their bonds with their caregivers, strengthening unhealthy behavioral patterns throughout generations. Since emotional neglect is something that our society has normalized, many of us fail to recognize the consequences of our maladaptive bonds until well into adulthood. In fact, we see this play out in our coaching program with new moms. They come to us seeking guidance because they become aware of how their child is playing out their emotional wounds. Generally, every parent wants the best for their child, and the best for your child is often realized on your own path towards self-awareness. Remember, we cannot change what we are not aware of. Do you know how your insecure attachment style plays out in your adult life? Check out part 2 of this video to find out.